This will be a very abridged version, but that is fine. So my name is Ginny Bootman. I'm a special needs coordinator. I'm a class teacher, and I'm someone who's passionate about empathy. I went on a course 3 years ago and found out about the role of empathy within the school context, really with regard to children who had attachment issues. And I asked the lady on the course if I could use this with all children. And she was like, yeah, absolutely. And I came back and I was just enthused and excited to be able to use empathy within my classroom context. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about how I use empathy within my classroom context, mainly in my role as a special needs coordinator. So to begin with, if you can think of a child or a person who sometimes you find it a little bit difficult to reach, a little bit difficult to engage with, I think it's quite good to have that person in mind, because I think it helps to engage and to build bridges with that individual. So the first thing that really needs to be addressed and acknowledged is the difference between sympathy and empathy. And for many years, I really did think that I was helping my friends, colleagues, children by having a sympathy-based approach. And then I realized that actually I hadn't been getting it right. I thought I was doing it right, but I just hadn't got it right. So the wonderful Brené Brown, and I would highly recommend Dr. Brené Brown from Houston. She has this great analogy, which I love to use. When we're thinking of that person who is having a hard time or a difficult time, we liken them to being in a hole. And they have put themselves in that hole, and they are alone in that hole. And for whatever reason, they feel very alone. The sympathetic Ginny would have looked down into the hole. And as Brené said, I would have looked down into the hole and said, gosh, it's dark down there, isn't it? Gosh, you're having a really hard time. And then said these words, at least. At least. So from the point of view of somebody who's going through bereavement, I can imagine I might have said, at least she got to spend those last few weeks with you. You know, at least she didn't suffer. And I felt I was really, really helping. But in some ways, maybe I was being a little bit condescending, inadvertently. This is all inadvertent. So the way Brené Brown says is we need to put on our brave shoes. And obviously in my case, here are my beautiful red follow the empathy road shoes. We need to metaphorically put these shoes on. Got to be a little bit brave. We have got to climb down that ladder into where that person is. And that is hard because we're making ourselves vulnerable. We climb down that ladder and we align ourselves to their feelings. We actually share what they're going through. And it's really, really hard. It's really, really hard. In my experience of bereavement, it opens up wounds within us sometimes, and it opens up feelings that we've maybe compartmentalized. And I find that when I actually can be with that person and feel what that person is feeling, it really, really helps them, because I am showing a vulnerable side. I've gone down the ladder, I am with that person, and I'm feeling what they are feeling. That can be with regard to so many different things, but that really is the difference between sympathy, which is looking down, and empathy, which is a conscious decision. It is a conscious decision to actually climb down this and sit with the person. It's not easy. It's not easy. You have to be in that mindset to be able to climb down that ladder, and sometimes we're not. And sometimes we're not. And I have an analogy of us passing a running baton, you know, like we're in a relay. And do you know what? Some days, for whatever reason, for whatever's happened in my life, or I can't climb down that ladder, but I might have a colleague who will take the baton off me. And do you know what? We're all human. And that is great when we can be in an environment where we've got people who actually feel the same as we do. Also, we have to recognise when we're in a school situation, there are some people who find this aspect quite difficult, and they might appear to be like a bollard. That's the way I can liken it. They're a bollard, and they find it very difficult to empathise. And I think we have to acknowledge that as well. We can't expect people in schools to empathise with children if they haven't actually, if they don't feel that they're able to. You have to be ready to be able to climb down that ladder. And some people find it easier than others. The wonderful Jamil Zaki, here is a brilliant book that I would highly recommend anybody to read. Brilliant book by Jamil Zaki, The War for Kindness. He says everybody is on a continuum of empathy, which is brilliant for me to hear. So we are all on a continuum, and we all start off in a different place, but we can all move forward. And what I particularly love is the fact that he says, I might start at one place, and I started from a place of, if I'm honest, not having that much empathy. And I started at one place, and I've obviously moved forward. Somebody else might start at a different place, but they will overlap where my starting point was. How amazing is that? That the more we mirror empathy, the more we mimic empathy, the more people see it around them, the more people will move along that empathy road, along the continuum. So Jamil actually gives he's got a lot of research behind empathy. It's a gut feeling for me, and I've read round it, and I can see now how there is research to back up what my gut feeling is, which is absolutely brilliant, from my point of view. When we're talking about empathy and we're talking about special needs, it's about how we approach children. It's about how we approach children. And it's about, I firmly believe, empathy is based on giving people our time. An example I've got is that a child came up to me the other day and said, have you got a minute, Mrs. Bootman? Now, if a child comes up to me and says, have you got a minute, Mrs. Bootman? It takes a lot for a child to say that. And I can't miss that minute. I can't miss that opportunity, or it will be gone. So I made sure someone else came into my classroom, that it was covered. I went into the corridor and found a quiet place in the corridor. And she started telling me all about a bereavement in the family. She started telling me about when she went to the funeral, about her feelings that there was a body in the coffin, and how she was trying to get her mind around that, and how it felt she felt a little bit uneasy about that. And we had a really, really, really in-depth conversation. We had a really in-depth conversation. And I was once again able to climb down the ladder to relate it to my experiences and to be honest. And we finished that conversation, and she went back into class, and her parents came up to me the next day and said, our daughter's told me about the conversation that you had. Thank you. That was not a conversation we would ever have had at home. And I think that is so, so powerful. The fact that children find a time, they find a person, they actually approach the person who they want to climb down the ladder. That to me is really, really powerful. I have got amazing children who I teach, amazing children who see empathy around them all the time, see it being mirrored, and they mirror it back to me in amazing, amazing ways. In the playground, we deal with incidents through an empathy-based approach really simply. A child will come up to us and they will be crying. They might come up and say, Mrs. Bootman, Billy hit me. What we do is we repeat back what they said. Billy hit you? Then something amazing happens. These children then say, oh, Billy hit me because I hit him first. And then there's this feeling of, oh yeah, I shouldn't have done that, and off they go. So all we do is repeat what they've said to us. And it is amazing how much difference that makes. It doesn't bring what happened in the playground into the classroom. It is dealt with there and then because they are having ownership of it. And that is really, really important that they have ownership of it. And please, please, please try this because it is quite fascinating. From the point of view of parents and special needs, it's all about listening and empathizing and listening and listening and listening to them. One of the greatest pieces of advice I can give is when you get parents in, put your agenda for the meeting to one side and listen to them. And talk to them about their child as an individual and the strengths that child has and all the wonderful things about that child. The wonderful, wonderful things. And also I often say, have a cup of tea. Whenever I have somebody who comes in, parents, an outside agent, come in, have a cup of tea. And do you know what? We're all kind of just at the same level. Because being a SENCO, it's about being level. It's about being level with the parents. And the parents telling me, tell me about your child. You tell me about you know your child. And I can suggest ideas, but it always has to go backwards and forwards to the parents. What do you think? What do you think? These parents often have had quite difficult times with their children and they put up barriers and they become lions or lionesses because they want the best for their children. The moment we hand over some kind of responsibility to them is the time when the trust is built. Yesterday, a parent said to me, I remember, Mrs. Bootman, when we were trying to get some funding for my son, and you said to me, I've never done this before. I will do my best, and if I can't do it, I will find somebody who can help me. And she said, do you know what? That honesty meant the world to us. So from a special needs point of view, from an empathy point of view, I think we need to be honest because it breaks down barriers and we can have those difficult conversations. I have far more difficult conversations with parents than ever because I've got that relationship, I've got that honesty. And if I don't know something, I'm the first to say, do you know, I don't know, but I will find out. And I had one parent, we didn't get some funding. And I said, we haven't got funding. I'm sorry, we will try again. And this parent said, if we were in a different school, I would be banging if we were in a different school, I would be banging my fist on the table saying, you have let my child down. She said, but what I am going to do is I'm going to say, you tell me what door to bang on and we will do this together. And that shows the unity and the teamwork that we can have when we are special needs coordinators. And also the triangulation, it's the SENCO, it's the parents, it's the child. In fact, let's put the child right in the middle because it's all about the child. And it's all about those communications we have with the parents, more phone calls than emails. I think when you write an email, that the tone can be lost, can't it? You can write an email and someone can reply and people can read it in different ways. I firmly believe a face-to-face or a cup of tea, and all of those things bring us together. I think the other thing is sometimes something might be happening. Let's pause. Let's just all give ourselves time to think, whether it's a child, and we all have those children who actually sometimes it's a little bit difficult. Whoa, let me just give myself a moment to pause, stop, think again, and then see how I'm going to move forward with it. And we also need to listen. There is listening, and then there is real listening to unpick things and to find out what is really happening. I have got another book, which probably most of you have seen, which I love, this wonderful book by Charlie Mackesy, and it has got wonderful quotes in, and it really shows empathy. That is one I would highly recommend. And this is a lovely book. This is a lovely book for any age children. You can use it with nursery, or you can use it with year 6, only 1 year. And this is telling us how we are all individuals, how wonderful everybody is. And it's something I use in art lessons with my older children. And these are just beautiful books. Beautiful books. Okay, time is running away. Just to say thank you so much for all your patience. I really do appreciate it. My website is www.ginnybootman.com. If you want to go on there, that would be absolutely brilliant. I do talks, and I've got some of the talks on there. My articles for the Times Educational Supplement and for Teach Primary are on there. And I am on Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter, and I am at SENCO Girl. I would love for you to do some tweets about my talk, give me questions, ask me different things. Every day is a school day. I am constantly learning about empathy, and my journey along the empathy road is continuous. It's continuous. I want people to find empathy within them, share empathy, and enjoy being with children. And as a SENCO, let's embrace what these wonderful children are about and help them reach their full potential. My hashtag is always follow the empathy road. Thank you everybody for your patience. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.